Hi everyone, today you're going to learn how to play for a win as black if your opponent is playing very solidly, because it's normally very difficult to actually do so when you're playing black, also the higher you get on the rating ladder. So here we have this game. Okay, it's a very funny name from the white side, No Davis. I mean, I checked the databases, that's what he's called, versus Michael Adams, legendary grandmaster. So e4 was the first move, e5, and now we have a Spanish. The idea, of course, is to put pressure on the knight, indirectly putting the pressure on the pawn of the center. a6, due to tactical reasons, you cannot win a pawn after knight takes e5 because of the move queen to d4, which will just win back the pawn. So bishop to a4 is played, and then now knight f6, castles, and bishop e7. You can take the pawn, that is the open variation of the Ruy Lopez, but do not expect to hang on to it because white can win it by force if they want to. Bishop e7 now blocking the e-file, so the tactics do not work anymore. Rook e1, b5, and d6, opening up this diagonal for the bishop to develop. c3, preparing d4, short castles, and h3. So, I mean, you would also, I mean, h3 is just designed to stop bishop g4, but you would also may think, what about d4? Let's just go with our plan, right? But then I play bishop g4. This is playable. This is known as the Yates variation of the Ruy Lopez, but it's a very difficult way. I mean, white really gets some good play here and has some nice chances. So h3 is played. This is a more critical move, and now knight b8. This just seems like black is setting up the pieces. You're just gonna go on castle your king, bishop f8, knight b8, and just knight g8 and play for the rest game, bring the pawns down to the 8th rank as well, but it is not. The idea is to redeploy the knight to d7, where you would argue that this is just better on d7 because now the c pawn is open with ideas of c6, d5, or just c5, c4. Also, this bishop is going to b7. And now bishop to c2 is played. You would actually be a bit like, why is the bishop retreating unprovoked? Well, the reason is to overprotect the pawn on e4 so that this knight is free to go to the g3 square. Now rook e8, knight f1, bishop f8, knight g3, and g6. Nice move to stop the advancements of the knight and to prepare the square for the bishop. Now the bishop goes to g5, h6, and bishop to d2. A very nice maneuver by white. And I mean, you would say, are they silly? Are they silly really? Are they slow? No, the reason is that this pawn is not a source of strength. It's the exact opposite. It's a source of weakness. I can just very easily play queen c1 as of this move, as early as this move, and target the pawn. Of course, this was not played. Another good option is to play a4. This is almost always good in Ruy Lopez structures because then you can just try to play against b5, isolate the pawn, and perhaps try to just pull all the pressure on that pawn. But this was not played. Instead, a very uninspired move was played. D takes on, whoopsies, D takes on e5. Like, this is not at all colorful. Pawn takes, and not only have you given up your two pawns in the center, you've also given me this c5 square, which is going to be used as a transfer point for my knights. The bishop goes to e3, queen e7, and now knight to the d2 square. I mean, it really does not seem so logical, this move. But I mean, there are some ideas. Maybe the knight is going to go here and some ideas. And here, I'm not going to be a douchebag, I'm going to tell you the truth. Well, I saw this game from a book, which I actually had, and I was studying on the Ruy Lopez, and it essentially gave an exercise. It said, list every single pawn move and rate them from the best to the worst. Literally every move. a5, b4, c6, c6, c5, g5, h5. And I will give you 5 seconds to find out which one is the best. And then we're going to continue with the rest of the video. You can also pause if you like. Okay, so that move is the move pawn to h5. This may seem a bit illogical. We already moved the pawn, so why move it again? Well, the reason is that this move is stopping the move f4. What are you talking about? It's so weird. And the reason is that if you play f4 now, I will just trade, and then I'll play the move h4 when your knight does not have any protection and cannot provide protection for the e4 pawn, and you will lose it. Yeah, instead of 92, again, the correct move was perhaps to play the move a4, which is a chance for perhaps for the next 5 or 6 moves to come. So now the rook e goes to d8 because this other rook is probably going to be needed for the c file. Then I goes to c1. I mean, it just continues its very weird journey. Just knight c5 now, bringing in the knight, and f3, knight e6. Just now bringing this knight into a more active post, a slight improvement of the knight, that's all we need. Then we're going to work on other things. Now the queen goes to e2, we use this c5 square for our pawn now, and now knight b3, this is one of the final nails in the coffin. But still, you gotta be very accurate. c4 does not really work because I play knight a5, and you gotta give this bishop away for my knight, and I'm gonna be very fine. For example, if you try to move your bishop away and preserve it, then I just hit you with knight c6 and you'll lose. Yeah, instead rook a to c8 is played, and now knight a5, bishop a8. It's very, very simple. It would seem very, very weird for you. Why is this bishop just going into the edge of the board? Is it smoking something? No. The knight is actually the one who's on the rim, because I played c4, shut everything down. This a4 move came like 10 moves later than it should have. Now, the queen goes to the f2 square. We just use the c5 square for our less active knight. We just use this for this knight. Pawn takes, and now rook b1, trying very desperately to engineer this break, which is really the only thing which white can do. Try to, escape with the knight. Now knight c5. It is true that this takes the eye off the c-pawn, so now they can play this. But here Michael Adams on court, knight to d4, sacrifice the knight, just wrecking open everything. You can take it, but if you do, you lose. I mean, you're already losing, but this is even worse. I'll take both the pawn, then I'll attack your bishop and your rook. But the idea is not even to take the rook, it's to block that side to the rook. And if you drop back, I'll play c2. And I mean, you would say, well, what if I just sacrifice, give back my extra piece, and I'm actually up a pawn here? No, you're not. I play knight e6. I hit your queen, and I'll hit your bishop, and you have no way of defending both. Not to mention that this rook is actually hanging, and this knight is smoking cigars on the rim. So after knight d4, b4 was played. Says I'll give my bishop, but you will also lose your knight, and I will attack your queen. Right? Danger levels. You're attacking my rook. Attack something more valuable. But in some cases, your danger levels get dangered, because I just play rook takes c5. This is not a sacrifice, because I'm going to win the rook back on a1. Queen takes, and knight takes a1. I also win this knight at the end of everything, so I'm up a full piece now. But hang on, right? Don't get too quick. This pawn is literally 3 squares away from promotion. Now 2. How are we going to deal with it? We just move back with the rook, cool, calm, collected. Now the knight goes to b7. See how easy it is to throw a win? This is losing because the rook gets to a8, and you cannot do anything to stop it. So after knight b7, cool, calm, and collected, rook to e8, and the rook goes here, cool, calm, and collected, bishop to f8. And the idea is to cover up the d6 square. You will see why it's important, because the pawn goes to c7, and I just simply play the move rook to c8, and white resigned. And yeah. For example, if you're trying to play king f2, get the king in, I can just simply take the pawn, and this is a very, very winning endgame for me. I got this 2-on-1, I can create a pass pawn, and you're just down a bishop. Like, that's straight up losing for you. And yeah, in this position, white resigned. Not in this position they resigned. So, thanks for watching so far. I hope you enjoyed this video, and more importantly, learned something from it. I'll see you in the next videos. Take care.